WWE 2K19 broke the record with one of the largest rosters of all time in WWE games. 252 total characters were on the roster, including managers and My Career original characters. In WWE 2K20, we could be looking at some of these superstars being removed from the game. WWE 2K19 featured a brand new game mode called the $1 Million Challenge. Theoretically, if you beat this game mode, you could win $1 million. Now, to do this, you had to defeat a bunch of superstars in a gauntlet style in one sitting and then make it to the final boss at the end. The final boss, well, that was Gold AJ Styles, or AJ Styles Gold as they called him in the game. Now, this version of AJ Styles was only available if you could complete the $1 Million Tower. Going to WWE 2K20, I don't see this version of AJ Styles being in the game because that was just specific to that game mode. So, unless things change, AJ Styles Gold looks to be out of WWE 2K20. One of the flagship programs in WWE 2K19 was the My Career mode. Now, throughout this, you would take your created superstar and get them through a My Career all the way to the end while playing a story mode. Throughout this, you go through many different superstars, including real-life WWE superstars and superstars that were just specific to this My Career. Now, some of these superstars may return for the My Career, but people like El Mago, I don't see them returning for WWE 2K20. Although WWE 2K20 will have the My Career mode with male and female, I think that some of these superstars will be left out of the game. Another major feature that they touted this year was the 2K Showcase returning. This year we got to play as Daniel Bryan and go through his career. Now, going into 2K20, we won't have the Daniel Bryan Showcase, so it is most likely that alternative versions of Daniel Bryan plus superstars that Daniel Bryan faced and unlocked alternative superstars will not be making that transition to WWE 2K20. When you think of Rusev Day, you have to think of Aiden English because Aiden English was the mouthpiece for Rusev Day and it made it work. Those two together pairing made such a perfect combo. Now, going into WWE 2K20, we know that Aiden English has now been removed from wrestling and has been put on the 205 Live commentators table. Now, there is a chance that they could leave him in as a playable character, but if they're going to go for the same role that he's at, 205 Live commentator, he wouldn't be an active wrestler on the roster to actually play as. The Mighty. The Mighty was a great tag team in independent wrestling, and when they came to the WWE, I expected big things from them. Unfortunately, that never happened, and Nick Miller actually left the WWE to go back home to take care of his family. So Nick Miller is not going to be in the game anymore. Shane Thorne is still wrestling on NXT and yet to see him get called up to the main roster. So Shane Thorne looks to be in the WWE 2K20 video game if they're going to just leave his model and port him over and put him in the game. But Nick Miller, since he left the WWE to go home and take care of his family, will not be in WWE 2K20. This came as a shock. WWE released several superstars at the same time. One of those superstars released was TJP. And this was kind of shocking because he was the Cruiserweight Classic winner and the first WWE Cruiserweight champion. Fortunately, they weren't really doing anything with TJP, so for them to release him, they just didn't really see anything for him to do. So TJP is now back on the independent scene, killing it, doing his thing, being a professional wrestler, but he's no longer employed by the WWE, so even though he was in WWE 2K19, it doesn't look like TJP will be in WWE 2K20. Another superstar that was released at the same time that TJP was released was Tye Dillinger. Now we know that he went on to be Shawn Spears on the independent scene and now actually making his debut in AEW. He is now a full-time AEW superstar. So Tye Dillinger, although he was in 2K19, the 10-10-10-10-10-10-10-10-10 will not make it into WWE 2K20 as he is a full-time roster member in AEW. It has been a weird time for this next superstar, Chris Jericho. He has been a WWE superstar for life. He said he was never going to leave the WWE because he felt that Vince McMahon treated him fairly and he didn't want to lower his value. Well, Chris Jericho has left the WWE. He did some stuff with New Japan Pro Wrestling and then he went on to become an AEW wrestler. Now that Chris Jericho is part of AEW, he will be fighting for the first AEW World Championship coming up at All Out against Hangman Page. And Vince McMahon did not like that at all. Chris Jericho will not be making his return to the WWE Games franchise, although he's been in years past games forever and ever and ever. But Chris Jericho looking to be out of the game since he is now in AEW. Unless they had some sort of Legends deal with him, which I don't think they did. They kind of are against Chris Jericho. He's the direct competition for them. So Chris Jericho, although he was in the games way in the past, he's now an AEW superstar. He's gone from the game. This is another superstar who was in a lot of WWE video games, and that is Goldust. Goldust was around WWE forever. He's been a legend in the business. His father was a wrestler. His brother was a wrestler. And you can't think of anybody a greater wrestler than Goldust. Well, Goldust now left the WWE, and he is another one of those superstars that is part of the AEW roster. Goldust decided to leave and go be Dustin Rhodes in AEW. So even though we'd love to see him in the WWE 2K game, it doesn't look like that's going to happen in WWE 2K20. The final superstar that I think is a big blow is Dean Ambrose. Now leaving the WWE, he is now under the name Jon Moxley. Doing stuff in New Japan Pro Wrestling and now full-time on the AEW wrestling roster, Dean Ambrose no longer a part of the WWE canon. Now this is a big blow to them because the Shield is one of the biggest factions in WWE history, and we do have a Roman Reigns 2K Tower story mode, which I think is going to go off the career of Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, Dean Ambrose and the Shield doesn't look like it's going to be a big part of the Roman Reigns 2K story tower. Maybe it'll just be a 2K story original tower, but we don't know yet. Dean Ambrose was a guy who made WWE so much money with the Shield, and he was just a perfect fit in the WWE, but unfortunately they just didn't use him properly, and he got upset and wanted to leave. Dean Ambrose left, he's Jon Moxley, and we're not going to get him in WWE 2K20 this year. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about all these superstars that were removed from WWE 2K20 and won't be a part of the roster. And who else do you see that could possibly be removed from the game? Anyway, guys, if you do enjoy this, make sure you smash that like button. As always, I'm TonyPizzaGuy, and we will see you in another video.